We are from the hFMA Netzreporter team, and I'm happy to introduce you to Rosie Arnold today.
Hello everybody, hi, nice to meet you. When you go into advertising, and a lot of my friends criticised me at first, I went to art school, suddenly it's like you're just selling junk. You're selling stuff that people don't want, and worse than that, you're making people feel bad about their body image, and so there's a lot of criticism about our industry. I've always felt passionately that we have the power to change things from within, and that actually if I just let advertising go off and do its thing over there, it's never going to change. So the idea that you're always using very slim, beautiful models all the time, and that you're maintaining the stereotypes, that's going to happen unless we passionately, believers, work from inside. My message to everybody is you've got an enormous amount of power. Every time you look at something you're going to produce, question yourself, does it have to be a woman putting the food on the table? Does it have to be a man driving the car? Does it have to be a little boy who likes football? Do they have to be a dual gender couple? So, do they all have to be white? There's so many things that we can just change, and we can do that without any problem at all. Clients will push back on a lot of those things, and I've spent my career pushing back, particularly on the race thing, I hate to say, and that's still endemic around clients, but we have to be strong and have to continually question what they give us as fact, so we can do that, so that's one way of changing it. Years ago when I was at BBH got a company called Monsanto, which was a genetically engineered food source, which I fundamentally disagreed with. And at that time, I didn't want to work on it. So I went to John Hegarty and said, I don't believe that in this, I don't want to work on it. And John was a hard taskmaster. He's also one of my favourite people on the planet. And he said, okay, well, he worked out what percentage of income Monsanto gave BBH, and he deducted that percentage from my salary. So I had 10% deducted from my salary because I wouldn't work on Monsanto. But I honoured him for that because actually, he'd always say a principle isn't a principle until it costs you something. Depends what it is and how strong your values are. And I think we're living in a world where people do value ethics. So I think you have to question yourself. What does it mean to you? Yes, I'm starting out, but how passionately do I feel about this? So if you find yourself going, I really need my job, and if this is going to make me lose my job, then you're going to just have to work with it. So maybe within that you can find something, some value that you do believe in that you can promote. Not at all. I'm going to be really honest with you. So I went to art school and I did graphic design. And when I got to the course, which was sent to St Martin's, I was really disappointed because I've always loved ideas. And I was like, oh my God, you just do the typography or you just do the photography. Oh, I wanted to do everything. I was I'm going to invent the game and design it or, write the book. And so I was a bit horrified that graphics was so particular. And it was ideas that I loved. So I went into advertising because I love ideas. And I couldn't believe there was a job that existed that was about design and ideas. Oh my God, it was like heaven. And, the ethics hadn't really, it occurred to me then. It was a very different, this is the 80s. And I also wasn't aware how male orientated it was. I was very lucky that I found a very good mentor in a female art director who worked at the then best company to work at, who sort of took me under her wing. And I think because of her, it helped me see that it was a job that women could have. I think if I'm really honest, there's been more change in a year. Well, since the 15th of October, when Me Too first came out, there's been a seismic shift in the way people are responding to women. And I also say I really hope it happens for race, because it's still a very white, male, middle class world. When I first came into the industry, it was totally male. The creative department was quite, class-wise, it was all over the place. It's got more elitist since in the UK, education, people have to pay for education. So a lot of people aren't going to art school, so that's a shame. It's my passionate belief that it should be equal. I mean, we are representing populations when we're out there having ideas, and the population isn't all male. The year I did it, I made it a balance, but it was quite difficult because you want to make sure that your judges are experienced and are in a position where they've been involved with great creative work. And I've got a sort of thing that I've written articles about it because people go, why aren't there more women? And you go, right. It's very interesting from a creative perspective, and this is my view, men and women do generally kind of veer towards slightly different things. So when Hollywood release a film, you kind of know that that's either aimed at women or men. And there are obviously films that cross over, but you go, if it's got Cameron Diaz in it, it's probably aimed at women. And it's sort of those things where you go, and if you talk to people about the weekends, guys will probably, sorry to be so stereotypical, but they might have played football with their mates, or and it's getting different. But women have slightly different tastes, and I think as a creative, you tend to create work that you're going to like.
Probably.
So then you're given a brief, you create an idea, and then you show it to your creative director. Who, guess what? 95% of creative directors are men, and they're going to have to like your work to buy it, and then it's going to be presented to a client who, guess what? Are all men. And then if you're going to make it, you're going to make it with a director and a photographer who, guess what, are all men. And then if you're going to get your career to move on, you need to win awards. And so who are on the jury? Oh, all men. And then I look back over the last 15 years about what the big winners are, and it's changing, I'm glad to say. But in the past, particularly my generation, it was football, cars, technology, things that beer, things that really appeal to guys. So if you're going to get any work made or move your career on, you're really stymied unless you're working on a product that really appeals to guys. And I was lucky because I worked on Lynx or Axe, which was a big sexist brand. And I ran that, and I won lots of awards on it because male juries were voting on it.
The Idle Woman clip.
The Idle Woman, exactly. And I was talking to another woman who's more senior than me, fantastic art director called Alex Taylor, but she also worked on male brands, the Army, things like that. So we both were conscious that the reason we managed to succeed was we were winning awards, but that's because we were working on brands that appeal to men. Yeah, they do. I'm sorry to say it, but they do. Because I think, in a way, if you think about it, if you're going to go to a solicitor and you have no idea about that, or a builder or whatever it is, you need to get some recognition that they do their job well. So they need to have a certificate that says, I'm a really good solicitor. And, where do you get those certificates if you're a creative? The awards are our certificates to say this is a good creative person. Well, you're not nothing because you can see by looking around. There's always a few projects that win everywhere, and everybody agrees on them. But there's a kind of big middle tranche of stuff that some people love and some people don't, and depending on the jury you've got on the day. So, you have to take a little bit of, a little bit pinch of salt with it and decide, am I proud of this?
Yes.
Mind you, if you're a creative, you're never proud of anything. Always could have been a bit better, but
Okay.
I've just made a short, it's more like an ad than a short film, but it's like a 3-minute piece to try and change the way people treat sufferers of Alzheimer's. I just feel that when you look at how terrifying the disease is, if you're elderly and you've forgotten something or you're confused, people get very impatient with you. But if it was a child, you would be endlessly kind and reassuring and thoughtful. So even when I was casting and I got the actors to perform as if they were talking to an old person, they were so different as if they were talking and explaining something to a child. So I'm just finishing that at the moment. So.
It's amazing.
John Hegarty was my mentor, is my mentor. I still adore him. He's he's such an inspirational person. I feel absolutely massively lucky that I've worked with him for so long and can consider him a friend and mentor. So yeah. I think so, and I think if you're choosing a mentor or trying to find one, look at work and find out whose work do you really love, and then try and get to see them, and then keep going back to see them. Because one thing that, maybe I'm obviously somebody that people don't love, but whenever a student comes and shows me their work, I go, come back, I'll help you work on it. And then quite often they don't, they just disappear, and I go, oh, that's a shame, because I could have helped you a bit more. But I've got a girl living with me at the moment. This is mad, I know. Sadly, my husband died. I've got a house in London. One of the difficult things is if you're a student, accommodation in London is prohibitive. And Megan came from Birmingham, outside London. She got a scholarship to go to the School of Communication Arts, and I work for a charity called Creative Equals, which is trying to get more women, more diversity into the workplace. And they said, can you help in any way? And I thought, you know what, I've got a room. She could just stay with me. So, and we've become best of friends, and she's doing really well, and she's just got a job. So it's great.
This must be amazing. So she got a mentor right there.
Mentor right there. And I've got an ad daughter.
That's lovely. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And yeah,
good luck, everybody.
We will
Great
see.
industry. It's good fun, you see. I think just be aware that you do have fantastic opportunities, and it's great fun. It's a great fun job.
We will believe in our power to change something.
Okay.
And thank you so much.
It's a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.